now.
Okay, so run starts in 3, 2, 1, go. Hi,
Well,
my name's
I guess
Reptilian
it was
Gamer,
all
and this is Halo
obsolete
2,
anyway.
done on easy.
Your new suit's a Mark 6.
The first
Just came
level
up from
is
Songland
kind of
this
just a
morning.
tutorial
Try and
section
take
of
it easy
looking up and
until
down
you
at
get
some
used to the
lights and
upgrades.
pushing some people around to go a little
Okay,
faster.
let's test your targeting.
Not much we can do
first
to
thing.
speed it up,
Please
but
look at the top light.
it does give me an
Good.
opportunity to
now
talk
look at the
about
bottom light.
some differences
look
between
at the
this
top light
version
again.
and the
That's
original
it.
version of the
now
game
the
on
bottom
for
one.
Xbox.
Okay.
So
Everything checks out.
this
Stand
version
by.
of the game
I'm
was
gonna
built off
offline
of
the
the PC port
inhibitors.
of the game, which is built off the final
Look
version
around
of
a
the
little, get a
game
feel for it.
of Halo
When
2
you're
on
ready,
Xbox.
come meet me by the
And the
zapper.
difference between that is that this version runs at 60 FPS and the original version runs at 30. This
Pay
causes some
attention, 'cause
differences.
I'm only
Rather,
going
it's a
over
tick
this
rate.
once. This station
So
will test your
this causes a lot of
recharging
physics
energy
bugs,
shield.
like
Your
just
new armor
random
shields
physics
are
things
extremely
are
resilient,
different.
very efficient.
You
Bingo.
walk faster,
As
you jump a
can
little
see,
higher.
They recharge a lot
some of the
faster.
tricks, we have access to more tricks. Some tricks are off limits now.
If your shields go down, find some cover.
Pretty interesting
Wait
stuff.
for the meter to read fully charged. That,
That's kind of why we split it on Halo runs. Originally, the reason was that this version of the game actually didn't have
His
one of the
armor's
major
working fine,
tricks.
Johnson.
One of the major
Free to go,
tricks
son. Just remember,
in the
take
run.
things slow.
But that was
Don't
patched
worry,
back in
I'll hold
2
his
years
hand.
ago. The 27th of August actually
So,
would be
Johnson,
when that
when you
the
gonna
2-year
tell
anniversary
me
of
how
that
you
patch.
made it back home in one piece?
I got my first
Sorry,
meter
guns.
timestamp of the
It's
run, by the way,
classified.
which was 2 seconds.
My ass.
Basically, guns
well,
here
you can forget about
says a
those
certain line of
adjustments to
dialogue,
your
and if he
AK
says
scope.
one dialogue, it stays
Well,
about
he's in a
2
particularly
seconds.
fine mood.
The other dialogue
Maybe
is
Lord Hood
that
didn't give
time.
him an invitation.
So yeah, until the end here, we're just kind of chilling on the tram.
Haven't seen it in years.
One thing to note about this version is that
When
the
I
most
shipped
recent
out for
patch
basic,
actually did something to
orbital
this
defense
level,
grid was
where
all
on the original
theory
version you actually have a reticle.
politics. Now look,
But on this version
the
now,
Cairo is just one of 300
that like
GOC
specific model of
platforms.
weapon is gone,
That
so now you don't have a
can put
reticle
around
anymore.
clean through a
So you can
Covenant
you can also zoom in now, which is something you weren't able to do on the original.
Coordinated fire from the Athens and the Malta. Nothing's getting past this battle cluster in one piece.
Unfortunately, the early game of this run is a little slow, but it picks up pretty
Ships
quick.
been arriving all morning. Nobody's saying much, but I'll bet something
We got
big's
some
about to happen.
classic static animations from 2004. I should note that I am playing on the Xbox One version of the game, not the PC, or not the PC port that came out a couple months ago now. This is May, I think. So the first thing we're gonna do here, we're gonna do a slide jump. Slide jump basically is a transfer of vertical momentum into horizontal,
How's it going, Malta?
which we can do
Stand
by
by.
crouching on a slope
left.
and sliding
Check your targets, watch the crossfire.
and jumping.
They're
Sorry.
in standard formation.
Like so.
Little bastards up front, big ones in back. Good luck, Cairo.
If you notice, I only picked up a BR here for a certain reason. I want a plasma pistol for the first hangar. It'll be the first major combat section of the run. Just kind of mess around here for a second until the door opens. On the original version of the game, it's a trick you can do called ghosting, where you basically, for lack of a better term, you just run into a box 4 times and your walls. It desyncs your hitbox. Can't be done on 60 ticks though. Gonna do another slide jump. Hopefully, I missed that. Here's gonna be the first example of some movement called melee canceling. Basically, you cancel the lunge, the animation of your melee, which causes you to keep some momentum forward if you do it in a certain fashion. I'm also BXR reloading. If you know anything about Halo 2, if you know anything about Halo 2, there's a bunch of button combos you can do to speed up your reloads and stuff.
Malta, what is your
Here we're gonna
status?
look
Over.
at this explosion.
I don't believe it!
You know,
They're
normally cool
retreating!
guys
We
don't look at
won!
explosions, but in this case we do it to actually save time.
This is bad.
For some reason, Bungie in certain areas of the game just wants you to look at certain sections which speed the dialogue. That happens a couple more times throughout the run. It'll happen in this section as well. More combat here.
Brace for impact.
Lee trolled me a little bit there. I gotta run to get the bad RNG. A bit unfortunate clear here, but flop happens occasionally.
Uh-oh. Hey, they're leaving the Athens.
Thanks. Again, looking at the explosion to save a bit of time.
Cortana, assessment.
That explosion came from inside the Athens, same as the Malta. The Covenant must have brought something with them. A bomb.
And they sure as hell brought one here. Chief,
So again,
find
I got a spawn here, so there's another melee canceled there. More of the moon I was talking about a minute ago. Here we're gonna hope that gun tosses a shotgun. Ah, he is in a good spot. The shotgun opens up some more movement, such as known as shotgun cancels. You might see one here in a sec if I get decent armor.
Hang on, everyone.
Come on, Chief, this way.
Oh, kind of got one. But it's the same idea as a melee cancel, but whenever you kill an enemy, they lose their collision, so you can just instantly transfer the momentum to the enemy. It keeps a lot more of your speed.
Sir, boarders
This
have
next
breached
area,
the fire
I'm gonna try
control
to
center.
kill
We have a
about
bomb.
5 drones
Can you
in order for
defuse
this
Yes,
airlock to
but I'll
open.
need the Chief's help to make contact.
First echelon, you're with me. Flank
Chief,
those cruisers.
get to the
Take them
bomb,
out
double
one by
tap.
one. Second
Cortana,
echelon, keep
prioritize
those
targets
carriers
and
busy.
fire at will.
Registering all hostile vessels inside the kill zone. 13 cruisers, 2 assault carriers.
I'm gonna try to kill these enemies in a very particular fashion in order
The
to get a
carriers are
faster
breaking
kill.
through, sir. They're heading straight for the Cairo.
I did.
Cortana, concentrate your fire on the first carrier. Admiral, do what you can.
If you don't
against
kill them
the
in a
second.
certain order, or if you're shielded
Everyone,
down,
form up, follow my
like
lead.
the door takes like another 7 seconds
The
to
first
open.
carrier completely ignored us, sir. They flew through the Malta's debris field and headed straight for Earth.
If you notice me double shotting a lot,
Just so you know,
that's just
there are quite a few
it's just something I
of
do
these
for
regarding the bomb.
fun,
You may need to get
just to show
creative.
off, really. Funnily enough, double shots really aren't used as often as you would think. That's Skyrim, but we're out of Cairo though. So, this next level, Outskirts. At the start, we're gonna do a little bit of we're gonna get out of the map. This skips a whole wave fight sequence that if you've ever played the game casually, you know there's like a bunch of waves of elites and grunts, and then at the end there's some hunters you gotta fight. So we're just gonna skip around all that with a neat jump.
You all right, Chief?
Shake it off, Marines! Clear the crash site. Go, go, go!
Also gonna be incorporating some more slide jumps here and there. Doing some nade jumps here just to get a bit more height. It's funny is that on this version of the game you can make a lot of these jumps normally without a nade. I actually got a white lead spawn there. Wow. That's a rare spawn. It's actually a 1 in 64 chance of that guy spawning. He can drop a sword, but yeah, it's
Sergeant,
totally
I need
intended,
you on
guys.
that bird.
Try to get a melee
My
cancel
Pelicans are
from
gonna start
melee
airlifting
through in
armor and
questionable
reinforcements
positions.
into the city. They'll need an escort that isn't afraid
Those
of a little
guys,
hostile ground
I should probably
fire.
mention that now. There's a mechanic known as basically, you know, assassinations. So, but in Halo 2, they're really bad for it. And basically, if an enemy's melee hitbox like touches any part of your back, you're dead instantly.
The highest concentration of Covenant troops is
Sometimes you can get
detected
lucky and the
below
game
the
just kind of like
I don't think they want
gives you a
to get on
break,
board.
but most of the time, you don't. The rest of the level is just some ghost driving, really. Pretty self-explanatory.
Chief, the carrier just launched a wave of pods. They're inbound on your position.
Oh, if you noticed, I did pick up a pistol back there. That's to...
This tunnel links up
There's a
to the
mechanic
bridge.
known as carryover in this
rats.
game, which allows you to carry over weapons
swimming.
to certain levels. But if a weapon doesn't exist and you try to carry it over to the next level, it doesn't exist on that level. Basically you just start out with a fresh loadout, which is what we want for the next level since we need the full nades to do some stuff.
Odd, I know, but it does help
That'll
explain why
explain
they
when we'll
came
get
here
there.
with such a small fleet.
This hog can be in a rather unfavorable position because of the weird physics bugs that I mentioned earlier with the 60 pick rate of the game. On the classic version, the hog really ever gets flipped that far. On MCC and the PC part of the game, it's a pretty common occurrence though. Here's the vehicle that you only see in this level.
The Covenant must be trying to regroup. Don't let them.
Bungie made these things, and they're never used again outside of Outskirts. Some little things to note about the ghost driving is that you can press A, or your jump button rather, whatever you're using, and it allows you to take corners a little faster, or a little sharper anyway. This comes at the cost of some speed though. Not too much, but a little. This also raises the nose of the ghost a little bit, which is useful for some shenanigans later using the ghost. End of the level is right up here. And that's Outskirts. Metro is more of the same, really, just driving in a straight line on a bridge. But then we get to do some sort of interesting driving after we get off of it. A common theme in a lot of Halo games is that we take vehicles where the developers really didn't want us to take them. Yeah, they either fit through, or you can make them fit through certain spaces and just go faster than walking on foot. As you noticed, I did start out with a BR and an SMG at the start instead of a pistol and an SMG. That's the carryover thing I mentioned earlier. So if you ever played this level casually, you know at the start there's a tank you can get in and all that. But there's also a hog that you can take. And we just take that to go fast down the bridge. Funnily enough, despite the fact that the Ghost can boost, the Warthog is actually faster than the Ghost is. At least for Halo 2. Trying to avoid bonking into these guys, but sometimes it's unavoidable.
That's quite a welcome party.
So yeah, here's the more interesting stuff I was mentioning earlier. So here you're supposed to get out of your hog and walk through this part, walk through these tunnels, and then head out on the other side. But you can just run right through here. Doing some very careful driving. That bus box is super weird. A little scuffed, but it works. So there's also something coming up that there's a soft lock there's a potential soft lock, but if I'm fast enough, I'll miss it. You notice that Scarab spawn in the background was exiting the tunnels. From that point, I have about like a minute and 14 seconds until there's a certain cycle where the Scarab will actually despawn once it reaches a certain point. And if that happens, it's a soft lock and you can't progress the level. I'm gonna try to avoid that by going fast. Driving's been good. I'm gonna do what's called a nade ward here. It's basically like a one-frame action where you can plant a nade inside a vehicle. You're not supposed to be able to do that, at least not without the hatch gone. Should be good.
Sir, Corporal Perez, A Company.
Take these rockets and the shotgun for clear at the end. We're gonna kill a couple pilots on the Scarab to actually end the level. So this next trick is known as bully board. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna nade onto this antenna, nade jump onto it. Okay, let's self wind up in a certain position. And I do a version known as Moon Jump, and so the Scarab has its own like field of gravity. And if you jump at a certain time when the Scarab's coming by, you can just land right on top of it, like so. A couple other methods. On the classic version of the game, you can actually do what's called a super bounce, which is where you store your you crouch and like underneath the object, store your crouch, and then you can actually get pressure launched upwards because the game doesn't like detecting it. These guys can be a little janky sometimes. Yeah, that's Spectre. So, in the story of Halo 2, if you know anything about this game, that this was the point where we switched over to the Arbiter's perspective, which was a bold move of Bungie to do after Halo 1. You may notice that my hands look different. Basically, just ignore it. There's nothing really different between the Arbiter and Chief. But you'll also notice that I have a sword. This allows basically the bulk of Halo 2's interesting movement is this thing right here. At the start, though, we're going to kill our allies. Another common theme in Halo games is killing your allies to save time. This saves a whole sequence of dialogue that's like 30 to 40 seconds long. Up ahead, you'll see the first example of what's called the sword fly. Hopefully I can hit it. Okay, I got it. I got a box there, it's unfortunate. So what that is that... So whenever you get a red reticle with this sword, you lunge to an enemy, right? So with sword flying, we can basically just transfer the red reticle of one weapon into another weapon. It's doing a certain button combo. It's a meme in the community. It's just we say just by XR a lot. Basically, that's just the combo that we do to do that sword fly. I did a sword cancel there, which is pretty similar to what I did with the melee cancels earlier. But instead of just your regular melee attack, it's the sword, which allows you to cover a lot more distance than a regular cancel. Here I gotta kill a certain number of sentinels to progress. That's all I remember. Every enemy in this room has to die. Then we get some front spawns. Shoot. Good hanger. So after that, we're done. Here's some more cancels, and honestly, probably some of my favorite movement in all of Halo 2. So I get a good spawn. I did. I really like the movement here. It's so slick. Got an unfortunate spawn here. This guy's in a good position. Actually is. So I'm gonna lunge through him. First I got a mid-air stop. What a mid-air stop is, basically, whenever an enemy moves, you need an enemy to be, like, kind of standing in a static position in order to actually get... Oops. A little too good. To actually get a sword fly or sword cancel, otherwise you just stop over them. Here's known as 50-50 door. Basically, we want a good RNG where we get this door, but sometimes you get the bad RNG. Actually, get good RNG here.
The heretics are mobilizing their air forces. Get after their leader, but watch your back.
Pretty solid Arbiter.
I'm sending one of our phantoms to support you.
Oh yeah. There's a whole escort sequence that you're supposed to do with the Phantom here, but if you just fly right to this door over here, it's open.
Track the heretic leader to this part of the station. Clear that landing zone and get inside.
That's a good herb. So, at the start of this next level, I'm going to be killing my allies again for just get more dialogue, and hopefully get a trick that's known as dialogue skip, where basically we try to overlap this hologram spawn with this door closing, which deloads it, which for some reason causes the dialogue to get desynced and saves like about 7 seconds. Yeah, just needed the audio cue there. I got it. So you'll notice that the dialogue here is a little messed up. Just start like overlapping.
Come out so we may kill you.
Means I did it right. Here I gotta destroy these waves of infection forms, which are these little if you've never played Halo before, these are like the Flood, which are, I guess you can consider them like space zombies. They're a hive mind intelligence that whose only goal is to consume all living life in the galaxy. It's a good popcorn room. We call them popcorn in the community because they look like popcorn.
Heretic fools! What have they done?
That actually saves a second getting that spawn, getting that fly. These combat forms are probably the guys that'll be the most responsible for getting back smacks. Their hitboxes are so jank. I'm killing my allies for something later. If they live, then they're gonna cause a lot of time loss. But yeah, for now, unfortunately, we're on another auto-scroller. We're basically just chilling on this elevator until we get to a certain sequence. We could, unfortunately, the door to go is actually right down there, but Bungie put a death plane below the elevator until it reaches a certain position. So until then, we're just kind of waiting. You can actually walk into this corner over here, and because of how, like, aggro works, because your head is pinned into this corner, they can't see you. These guys can't. If you'll notice, I'm doing, like, these swaps a lot. In Halo 2, you can basically animation cancel almost anything, and I guess you can envision it kind of like, Melee in a way. Good stuff. Like just animation cancel and a bunch of other stuff. Sorry. This is the second rotation right now. We've got one more left, and then we're waiting for a certain noise to play, and then we'll be good to go. The flood just stopped spawning too. Not sure why that happens. Okay, so this is the last rotation here. This is basically just, you can tell by the sentinels coming up here. I'm gonna wait to this last sentinel. Should give me a checkpoint. Hopefully. It's fine. Alright, so now we can drop down and go into that fight, which is this big combat sequence where we have to basically have to kill enemies in a certain order in order to actually progress the fight. So first, I'm going to be starting with these grunts. Elite, carrier forms, these big bulky guys. Elites up here. Nice. Now we're on another timer here until the next sequence. Basically, we're just waiting for this timer to pass so we can kill these next wave of flood. That guy could have killed me there. Should have paid more attention. But yeah. I think the game's all here. So basically, a while ago it was found that we're basically just on a timer until these guys infinitely respawn until the timer ends. So unfortunately, Flood kind of did some weird stuff there. So, earlier, if you saw me, go kill my allies earlier. That's for this door here. For some reason, if your allies are still alive, the game will check for like 10 seconds. Whether or not they're alive, and if they're in the room, and it'll keep the door open until that happens. I'm gonna kill some grunts here to try to get spawn. To save a bit of time. Unfortunately, they all. Oh, well, he stayed here. Good. Another combat clear here. I'm gonna focus on sentinels, that way the flood aggro to me.
don't have enough
Because if you
troops to
kill
manage such a
Flood
large
first, there's a
unit.
chance they start
Find
to
the leader of these
de-aggro and
heretics.
weird
Kill him
stuff.
now.
I don't know where the last guy is. Hiding. Where is he? Yeah, I got trolled by that guy pretty hard.
Return to the landing zone. The Arbiter will
So here, do a nade jump up. Here is something you can't do on the classic version of the game, but it is possible on this one. This is another pressure launch, like I mentioned earlier, basically where you intersect with some geometry and boop, you get launched upwards. This also has some other interesting side effects. Basically, now I'm invincible for the rest of the level because there's a flag on that elevator, which gets set when you're on it, but obviously gets unset when the elevator docks and stops. But because the elevator's never comes back or never docks, you always have this invincibility active. And this also does some other weird stuff. The gravity after the section is a little strange. Gotta wait to drop back down at a certain time. Yeah, also the elevator just straight up isn't here. So yeah, now the gravity is all kind of pretty weird. I got some bad gravity because I dropped a little too early.
Do not let him escape. We'll stay with you as long as we can.
This door is open. If this door's open, that means you're probably not going to get good spawns for this cancel. Unfortunately, though, they stayed still. Nice. I appreciate everyone stopped by the run. So here's randomly just like 2 cutscenes back to back in the span of like 5 seconds. Bungie sure has some design philosophy sometimes for this game. I killed those the Flood and the Sentinel there to get spawns here. Because we're a little high up for some reason. These guys are usually a bit lower than that. More cancels, more sword flies. Unfortunately, I got bad RNG here. There's supposed to be an elite over there that spawns, but I think he ran down the ramp before I could get over here. So here's one of 3 boss fights in Halo 2. Okay, you ready? Ready for it? And boss fight's over. Not easy, these kind of lame. This isn't the only game to have boss fights. Halo 5, funnily enough, does, but it's really just the same guy over and over again, Warden Eternal, if you've ever played Halo 5. Delta Halo. Delta Halo is probably like the 2nd best driving level in Halo 2. Got some interesting out-of-bounds stuff that we're gonna get into later. First, though, we're going to do a rocket jump. Pick up this VR for later. Just some more walking until we get to the ghosts. It's interesting to note here. Jumping up hills actually saves, like, a frame each time you do it. Thanks. Just gonna do some slide jumps here to try to save a bit of time. Hopefully I did get a checkpoint there, so I won't get reverted to the start of the level if I get bad RNG here, but Preferably, I would like a checkpoint at the bottom. If you get a bad spawn on one of these turret guys, because these turrets here, they can spawn in like a number of positions. If he spawns like your right and he sees you, you're probably not gonna get a checkpoint
Bottle us
here.
up on this side
But
of the
I
border.
didn't get saw or seen. Excuse me.
The controls to extend the bridge.
I got the checkpoint, so
Construction
we're good.
done. Inbound Phantoms, Chief.
So here you're supposed to like lower a bridge and do a bunch of other stuff. But we're just gonna skip that by launching across the name.
Watch out, Chief. Wraiths on the far side.
Yeah. The ghost kind of tumbles in it sometimes and you can hit it just right. Some more driving here. So this is the out of bounds part that I was talking about earlier. First, we gotta hit this trigger in this building, though. If we don't hit this trigger, then the level will soft lock. Basically, you just gotta bonk that wall there, turn around. So something weird about the ghosts in Halo 2 and Halo 3 too is that he can just climb up walls. He does in a couple other Halo games as well. Yeah, so basically we're gonna go around the map and try to get to a certain position later on that, you know, it would take a lot longer to get to normally. Yeah, classic 2D trees from 2004. Here, I'm gonna try to hit a certain trigger here. This one down here. And you can see it by the screen transition there. After that, I just have to hit one more trigger, and then we're good. Level should end. Whoa.
Good. Still no word about it.
My ghost is being weird. Okay.
It's
Yeah, I
odd.
got the dialogue there.
The Covenant know we made landfall, but they don't seem to consider us a very serious threat. Boy, are they in for a big surprise. Watch yourself. Honor guards.
Yeah, I jumped up there. These two need to die, but I jumped up onto that ledge over there to skip 2 more spawns of elites. So regret. This is honestly probably my favorite level in Halo 2, besides one later on that is a bit more technical, but just the movement here is really fun. So at the start, we're gonna hope for a certain spawn in the middle to sword fly to. It's a jackal spawn. We didn't get it, but we can do a nade jump back up. So we're gonna try to get onto this gondola early. So casually, you have to wait for this other gondola to ride all the way over here, and then you have to wait for the gondola to come all the way back. But by taking this one, you can just ride all the way. Or, no, you can just ride all the way there. If you see me meleeing, I'm trying to delay a checkpoint. I'm gonna try to go for a really cool trick that is probably one of my favorites, and I go for it basically every run. But I'm trying to get this Phantom here, which is coming in right now, to deload, which is done by an MCC, this version of the game. For some reason, if you don't get this checkpoint, the Phantom just deloads, which allows us to do some other cool stuff.
This lake couldn't have been
These
formed by
gondolas would then
volcanic
desank.
action, which means it was either built this way on
See, I
got
purpose
that
or
dialogue.
was
The Covenant's
created by
getting
some
news.
other cataclysmic.
I don't want to give away my position, so I'm
Sorry.
rerouting a few
Were you
stragglers
trying
back
kill
to you.
something?
I apologize. These
go with
Pelicans
this
are all the
dialogue
support you're
here.
gonna get.
You
Understood
know,
now.
I think the Forerunners built these new
Okay,
structures
I got it.
around
That's
the Earth
that's gondola
to protect
launch.
them. Honor them.
So it's a really
Here's
interesting
speculation,
trick
mind you.
because
I need to make a thorough survey.
we're
to
not
be
really sure why it works. We know how it works, but we're not sure why it happens. So whenever you
Ah, now I see. There's a
overlap,
thread section that
like
connects
you
these
do
towers to
certain
the outlying
sequence of
structures.
events I did there
Looks like we're going down.
allowed for these
Unless you prefer to swim.
basically makes the gondolas desync, which, if you ever had that happen in casual play, like the gondolas will disappear, some other weird stuff will happen. But basically the game's trying to render those two gondolas in two places at once, which is impossible. So what then happens is that when you actually correct it, i.e. kill all the enemies on the gondola like it did, it'll snap back to the original positions in 1 frame, which gives you a ton of speed and launches you right to the tower. Another minute or so just waiting on this elevator underwater. I also covered new graphics for you guys.
High Charity.
Bit of lag, but
it seems to be a formal apology to the prophets of truth and mercy. Apparently, Regret jumped the gun when he attacked Earth. He's asking the other prophets to forgive his premature arrival, arguing that no human presence was foretold. That explains why there were so few ships in his fleet. But it's odd a prophet would have such bad intel about his enemy's homeworld.
So, the next sequence is just, it's probably another cooler sequence, is that just this underwater section. A couple flies here and there down some corridors. I'm delaying a checkpoint here just in case I move up the first fly, so I can just revert and not go back a decent amount. I did it. More walking here. Yeah, being able to switch to new graphics on the fly is pretty cool. I'm gonna try to stun this guy in the back. He didn't get stunned. I wanted to fly to him and like make sure he stayed stunned. I'm gonna shoot this fuel rod to all those enemies over here. Yeah, hit the fly. That's a camo fly. I alert the grunts in the back because they don't. Essentially, when enemies camo, they give you red reticle for a bit of time, but after that, they're just fully camo. Also, it should be noted that when you sword fly on this version of the game, you can actually like go straight through enemies and maintain your speed if they're standing still or if they're standing still. Another gondola.
Regret's carrier just received a response from High Charity. A very well encrypted message from the Prophet of Truth. Listen to this. Your haste has jeopardized the fulfillment of our covenant, threatened our grand design. That you shall be spared a public display of our contempt is thanks only to Mercy and his wise counsel. Truth, Mercy, Regret. 3 prophet hierarchs. Killing Regret should shake up the covenant leadership. But frankly, it sounds like you might be doing
totally intended, guys. Well, I mean, 343 did patch the strict back into the game, so 100% intended by devs. Here, I'm gonna try to get a cancel over this elite before he can see me. Hopefully I can get mountain cancel here. Mountain cancel is really cool. I got it. There we go. So what that is you have to time your cancel just right, so that way you keep your momentum and go all the way over the mountain like that. It's a good regret so far.
How's it going, you two? So far, so good. We're approaching the main temple
another
now.
gondola.
Roger that.
This will not be the last
close
one,
to the
don't worry.
library as I can get. There's some sort of barrier. We're trying to find a way
I'm gonna rock
around
these
it.
banshees.
I'll keep you posted.
Shoutouts to Leonidas being an amazing track, by the way. I have to kill these 2 leads for these kind of to progress, but you're really not pressured on time. for these to move. So, interestingly enough, that if you like stand off this edge a little bit too far, these gondolas will actually go back. They'll go back into position because the game thinks that you fall off of it, or you're either on the other gondola still. I'm gonna rocket that box, hopefully knock it into a position where it's not gonna block me later. Another fly to the tower here. Try to get a cancel up to the... Unfortunately, he was moving, so... So interestingly enough, this guy didn't have a paramedical officer in the game for a while.
Too many for me to track. We don't have much time.
Also another boss fight, Ripple Man. And now we can just fly to him again.
Bad news. The Phantoms are turning around. The fleet is preparing
Also,
to
I
fire on our position. We need to get out of
in
here.
order to kill him a bit faster. That's a sick, that's a really good regret, not gonna lie. Sub 820 is really, really solid. So this is everyone's, like, a lot of people consider this to be the worst level in Halo 2, because it's a lot of walking, for the most part. Oh, by the way, we can wheel past to shoot these things. The plugs are faster to shoot than they are to open them up by pressing X on them. But yeah, it's a lot of walking, and it's a lot of just, yeah. But I think that allows for more interesting movement, because, like, for example, these launches here. But one thing to note about Halo is that your forward speed is actually your fastest move, base movement. Any deviation from walking forward is time loss. So walking forward and keeping good lines is really key, like really crucial to saving those little bit of frames. Shoutouts to ODS, Halo 3 ODST, by the way. A lot of the community saw that for being walking. So here we gotta destroy these 4 locks. Yeah, like I said, you can press them, but it's slower to do so. So if you didn't know, everything blows up in this room if you just press the button. Fun fact, by the way, ODST is the only Halo game to not be in a DDQ. Kinda sad. So I'm gonna try to line up in this certain position. Good. So here we gotta destroy this enforcer that's spawning. That's gonna spawn here to open a set of doors. I'm gonna try to get a straight up sticky on him, or plasma. No, hopefully he flies into a good position. I barely missed it. Harder is yeah, no context. Fun fact, yeah. So, more walking, by the way. There is a shotgun coming up, though. I'm gonna try to do a couple shotgun boosts like I did on Cairo. We don't need the other plasma rifle anymore. missed that one. Kind of unfavorable positions. I got that one though. It's all good. Should be good. Yeah, those carriers can take you out in like 2 hits though if they get a good shot on. BR for there's gonna be a wave fight at the end of the level, so I kind of want a battle rifle. There's carbines you can pick up, but carbine is kind of a yikes weapon, honestly. It feels really inaccurate sometimes, and you just can't land headshots for some reason. Don't worry, we'll get a sword soon enough after, 5 minutes. After 5-ish minutes of walking, we get to use it one time. I'm picking up this gold sentinel beam because it actually it out damages the plasma rifle just a little bit.
Cover that doorway.
Dude, I need it, man. Yeah, it's unfortunate how many levels are just kind of ruined by not having a sword early. So here's some of the tube movement you saw earlier. Basically, I'm just going to try to crouch and uncrouch at certain times to maintain as much momentum as I can in these. You can go super speedy if you get really good ones. This looks good. I got a good spawn, okay. So these spawns are RNG dependent, and thankfully I got a good spawn. Didn't have to revert. There are ways you can kind of RNG manip in this game, but there's a lot of factors that are dependent on like everything else too. Like RNG is like increased by certain things, shooting, swapping weapons, other things. I had to kill those 5 flood in order to progress the wave fight here.
The flood is upon us. We must hold this camp until reinforcements.
So basically here, I'm hoping that I get decent waves. Unfortunately, I got a 6-wave right off the bat. You can get either a 2-wave, a 4-wave, or a 6-wave, and there's 2 waves of them. So I'm hoping for good RNG here. Okay, looks like we got a 4. We got a 6 and a 4. Yeah. That's kind of mediocre RNG to almost bad. We're gonna try to take out these carriers, because them being alive causes shenanigans.
Prepare yourself.
Especially the infection forms. This is a really solid SI, by the way. Oh, that guy's alive. Oh. Okay. Yeah, sub 710 is really good for full game. Even with the bad spawns. So QZ is, in my opinion, the best driving level in Halo 2. It's got the most interesting just movement overall. So here we're going to take a ghost at the start.
Forward, warriors, and fear not pain or death. Go on. I'll follow when our reinforcements arrive.
I'm just going to try to take some decent pathing here. Hopefully this guy doesn't... Okay. That guy can sort of like list over to the right and like directly into your path and block you and a bunch of other nonsense. Also, there's a scorpion flying around on a pelican, and he can snipe you at any time if he feels like it. Another gap jump here. Also, sick Steve Vai guitar licks. Another gap jump there. I'm gonna climb up this mountain here, save a bit of time. Again with the getting vehicle formation. So we're just gonna take this all the way through. I have to hit a checkpoint there. If I don't get that checkpoint, it'll soft lock the level. It's pretty range. Oh, bad. Taking it safe here. By the way, these enforcers, the big sentinel guys that I fought on SI, they can pick you up at any time if you get underneath of them. That guy's a shield. Yeah. One last trigger here, and then we should be good to go. So here comes the longest gondola in Halo 2, and probably the longest auto-scroller in the entire Halo franchise. The technical difficulties. Okay. So, yeah, so this gondola is like about 5 minutes long, and we're just gonna wait on it until stuff happens. But I also found something interesting. I found a way to make this. There's a color change you can do. If you just grab in the spot here. Oh, nice. Okay, I got a good color already. So I'm not really sure why that works. There's just a really weird lighting glitch that happens in just that part of the gondola. But I found a way to make it consistent. You can get basically any color you want, and it lasts until you get off of it. Also, I'm kind of walking through this portion of the gondola. We're just gonna chill up here, out of bounds, until the gondola reaches its destination. But until then, we're just kind of sitting here. The auto-scroller is 5 minutes and 10 well, about 5 minutes long. So, get your popcorn, get whatever you need. I kind of have to use the bathroom, so I will be back in a second. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. The mic with me. Yeah, I don't think you want to hear that. But anyway, I'd like to give a shout out to like all the members of the Halo Runs community and BLITZ for letting me do this run. I really appreciate it, and I love showing this run off for everyone else, for some other people to see. kind of waiting on this gondola until we reach a certain position. So hopefully I don't fail this fly. This fly is probably the most worrisome because if you fail it, you lose like a minute to the revert. Because Halo 2 is infamous for its terrible checkpoints. So hopefully that doesn't happen. This guy's in a kind of a bad position, but we're good. Should be fine. Oh. I don't like him moving. That's worrisome. Rip. Yeah. Okay, so once you reach a certain point here. Okay, we did it. Rip my purple, by the way.
Hurry, Arbiter! Get the icon!
Yeah. So now comes up probably like my second favorite level, probably. Yeah, I'd say second. This is definitely the most skill heavy level. There's a lot of sword flies, a lot of cancels, some movement, and a pretty run killer trick that I'm gonna get a checkpoint for. You lose like 15 seconds getting the checkpoint, but I'd rather not risk it. So at the start, we're gonna kill these guys.
Brutes.
First introduction to brutes in the run, by the way.
The faster you can kill those brutes,
Kind
the
of
better.
annoying.
As infiltrated the council chamber. Protect
Pick up that plasma rifle for
seal the exits.
Oh,
I'm gonna line up in a certain position to skip a wave spawn, because there are certain zones in this room which check for chief, and if you stand in certain positions, you may have seen like someone standing in the door to avoid the spawn. You just you don't get the spawn. He's got two more brutes here, and then you got one that spawns in the rafters up here. He spawns it in basically any. Oh, he did spawn over there. He's just being slow.
Put me down on one of
that's
the
a good start.
pedestals near the door.
Anna.
That prophet, Truth, he has the index. You've got to take
here
it
I'm
from
just
him.
gonna try to go for a couple
me
melee
get
cancels
these
to save a
doors.
bit of time.
Go.
This
It'll be
first area
easier
doesn't
to
matter
track
though,
through.
unfortunately. Even though the cancel here you can get is pretty cool. I didn't get a good one there. He doesn't save or lose any time. You have to wait for Katana to
Right
come down
this
on the
way.
pedestal anyway. Slide jump. That Sniper Jackal's beam rifle for sword flies after
Reinforce
trick
all
coming out.
approaches to the holding pens.
So
Play the
the
demon
next
on
trick
sight.
is probably the most run killer trick in the run, just because of how kind of RNG and dumb the brutes can be at times. But what we're gonna try to do after I get the checkpoint, you have to kill these grunts to get the checkpoint. I'm gonna try to lure a brute into this lift, and I'm gonna do what's called butterflying. Try to get back up the lift. Basically what butterflying is, it's repeatedly canceling your melee and with your reload input and jumping, which causes you to ascend for some reason. This will be seen later as well, but this is just like a basic example of it. You got good luck. Though you'll see it in action here.
There are two groups of
So you
Marines
just
in
spam,
the
and then you go back up the room.
I'll zero their
That trick was found in 2016 by a runner named Mr. Monopoly. Probably heard of him. He's a pretty famous guy.
The Marines are just inside. Careful of the guard.
Yeah, this is the really heavy section of the level. My personal favorite too. I midair stopped on him. We're gonna crouch here to keep the momentum. Yeah, if you've never seen that before, it's a really weird looking trick. I can't get the fly. It's alright though, that one doesn't matter as much. I'm gonna do a certain movement here to get the spawns in a certain
I've
over
got
here.
a fix on truth just outside this tower, Chief. There's an exit nearby. Hurry.
I'm gonna stun this guy to make sure I try to get momentum carry over him. It did.
At this moment, the councillors gather on Halo to see the icons.
There's a crouch cancel. I did one earlier as well after the prone. Basically, you crouch and then you just RX instead of RXA or cancel. Oh, that fly doesn't matter as much. More movement here. There's a fly you can go for here, but this is the hardest fly in Halo 2. It's RNG dependent. You have like a 1/10 of a second to hit the fly once they spawn, and if you don't, you midair stop them. It's like 12 to 20 seconds. Just look at that movement. It should be noted that those you can actually maintain momentum through those lifts, like out of them, but that's only on the original version of the game. Good flies. I get good spawns here. It's a redirect, by the way. I haven't done many of those because honestly, it's really the only one you'll see in this run. But basically, what happens there is you're banking off of an object. And you're basically just it's hard to describe when I'm trying to do movement, but yeah. Basically you hit a sword fly and it banks you off of the ledge.
Shortcut straight through the mausoleum. Look on the bright side. For now, they seem
So here's a pretty infamous part of Halo 2, the classic blow me away room.
You might
We gotta kill these enemies in kill order like we did earlier. Solid grave mine.
I'm picking up 2 more transponders. The Commander and Johnson.
Really solid, actually. Not gonna lie. Even with the checkpoint. One last cancel and then we're done. Shoutouts to all the montages that were made with this song in the background, by the way, back in like 2006. Really, really good grave mine, by the way. That's super solid. Even, like, I lost 15 seconds to getting the checkpoint, too, so... Uprising. So... Fun fact about this level is that this is the first level on Halo runs to go below a minute. That's what the butterflying trick that I mentioned earlier. I'm not going to be doing it in this run because it's really only an IL setting that it can be used. So I'm just going to do the old route, which doesn't really lose that much time to it. Maybe like 40 seconds. But getting a good one that saves that much time is almost impossible to do consistently. So here I'm going to pick up that nade and jump over this rock. I'm going to shoot here, try to get these guys a bit faster. I will be going for a trick called High Charity Skip on the next level. It's called High Charity, so I'll explain it a bit more when I get there. But it involves that trick I just mentioned a second ago, butterflying, and it saves a ton of time. More sword flies here. I got blocked by those guys there. Get those boxes to launch down here, save a bit of time. Ouch. Yeah, that can happen. You can splatter on stuff and take some shield damage. The next level is also the only solo level to go below a minute. There's a co-op level that has gone below a minute, but that's can't do those strats on single player. Oh, I picked this heal rod to not carry over to the next Arbiter mission, and I'm going out of bounds here because for some reason in these last 3 levels, Bungie didn't really do a good job of like making their triggers the right size. So the door to the end of the level is down there, right? But if we go to this little black patch in the ground and just crouch, you just end the level immediately. So this trick is a bit nerve-wracking, but hopefully I can pull it off. So similar to how I did Prison Skip earlier, this high charity skip revolves around the same concept, but instead of just moving upwards, we're going to be moving laterally, horizontally. So first off, I'm going to lure this flood out to the ledge.
Dropships are touching down all over the city. That creature beneath the library, that grave mind, used us.
Oh my god! Okay, I don't think I've seen that happen in a while. Oh my god. So yeah, that can happen.
Flood-controlled dropships are touching down all over the city. That creature beneath the library, that grave mind,
oh my goodness.
used us.
Alright, come on, no trolls. Anyway, I'm luring this guy out. Oh, I can't.
There's a conduit connecting this tower to the ship. Head back inside.
And
I'll lead you to it.
I'm gonna get beneath them. Do the same thing I did on the last level. Box really is not the last level, but Grave Mind. But now I'm moving laterally like this. So this trick was the culmination of like Forerunner's progress. There are a couple trickers as well in the Halo community. Mr. Monopoly, Libre, or Lord Zed, as he's known on YouTube. Iz and Hockey Fan. Yeah, so basically what I'm trying to do is that I'm trying to get to a cutscene trigger that exists at the start of this level. For whatever reason. So if we take this guy all the way out here, we can just get to the trigger immediately. Fortunate time loss there, but did we? Okay, there we go. I hit it. I went under it actually. Oof, that could have been bad. So yeah, another interesting thing to note about that is that I didn't skip the cutscene. It's basically like, for whatever reason, that's like the only exception to where if you die in the cutscene, you won't revert to your last checkpoint. So thankfully for us, that allows us to actually do the trick. So, what's estimate? Hour and 27. Genghis. So TGJ is probably my least favorite level in all of Halo 2. And it's the last level, of course. So at the start, we're gonna try to get a ghost for these guys. Ammo and... So, again, with the classic Halo standby of taking things where we shouldn't. we're gonna take this ghost through the building up ahead, but first we're gonna take out these wraiths, doing the main quick thing I mentioned earlier. Or that I did earlier on like Metro. Stuff like that. This guy's trolling me. I hope that ghost doesn't get jacked. The chance that Roots will take your ghost. If you go a little too slow. Hopefully I get a checkpoint here. Not getting that checkpoint is really scary. Because if I fail this next trick coming up, known as gap jump, bad things happen. Oh no. Alright. Well, that's unfortunate, but sometimes you just get a checkpoint there. I'm gonna take it safe the next time if I don't get a checkpoint. A bit unfortunate, but there's nothing to do about it. Yeah, probably this time I'll get a checkpoint because that's how the game went. Yeah, see, there we go. This time I got the checkpoint. That's how Halo 2 works. Alright, that time it was fine. Yeah, we're good. Yeah, again, the driving's a little awkward. Ooh, okay. Unfortunately, if you splatter one of those jackals on the bridge, you get a drone spawn there, which opens the door a bit faster, but I didn't do that. Here, I'm going to try to clear out 3 brutes as fast as I can. Oh, okay. Don't know how that... These guys control a little bit too. I'll kill all of them. I gotta... The last area, you just gotta clear these 4 guys. I think... I don't recall. I don't think they really board you that often. So that cutscene, I should mention, operates pretty similar to how checkpoints operate in Halo 2. And that, it basically, the cutscene will activate it when the game deems you to be safe. So, you can't have any enemies shooting at you, you can't have projectiles in the air, you can't have enemies around you. So, if an enemy, for example, shot in the air, there's a chance that it can take like forever to touch the actual. There I have to destroy these 3 ways to get Johnson to move up. But yeah, from here on it's just an honest story, really. We're gonna pick up some weapons that we're gonna need for the final fight, but basically we're just chilling until Johnson gets to the beach. I'm going to point out a cool little quirk about the 60-tick thing that I keep mentioning throughout this run. So on the classic version of the game, this guy is upright, but on this version of the game, he just he flips out for some reason. This is probably due to how this thing spawned. So he probably spawns in a weird fashion, and then flips out. But now he's just kind of chill, since he really doesn't have AI. So yeah. Wide brute. So yeah, but now we're just waiting for Johnson to move up onto the beach. Similar to what I said on Cairo, there are certain actions where there are certain actions where, like, if a player does certain something or whatever, the game will progress a little faster, or dialogue will progress faster. So the same applies here. So what we're going to try to do is we're going to look at this door here. Another thing to mention is that, similar to Uprising, there's tons of weird cutscene triggers that extend too far to where they should. So the cutscene trigger to enter the final boss fight of the game is actually just right here on the wall. So we're just waiting for him to get into position, like so.
Stay clear of the door. Hey, bastard!
So he's gonna shoot the door twice. Once. Second time he'll blow up the door. So, and you just fly into the trigger. That's right here. So here's the final boss fight of Halo 2. This is the one that you can actually die on. I'm gonna take the guy's shotgun. Time is coming up really soon, I should mention. Like, once the wipe room happens after this boss fight. So we're gonna try to 2-cycle our boy Tartar Sauce here. Shoot him once, shoot him again. Point blank. Okay, time is coming up in just a second. Time. That's Halo 2. You know, there's a good chance this actually could have been beat. I'm not sure. It was some really solid levels throughout, but I'm not sure. Thanks. Well, I hope I put on a good run for you guys.